I tried this new dating app. I met the girl of my nightmares. I wasn't searching for love. I was trying to quiet my head. Most nights ended the same way. Lights off, room silent, my phone filling the darkness. I'd scroll without looking, swiping through faces out of muscle memory rather than hope. Matches never came. After a while, you stop expecting them. You stop even noticing the rejection. That was when the ad appeared. Find the person your brain already loves. Amoura. Neural matching. Real results. It looked clean. Simple. No celebrity endorsements. No glossy marketing. Fewer than 1,000 downloads. It felt unfinished. I hesitated for maybe 3 seconds, then tapped install. The setup was bare bones. Name, age, city, then a prompt. Look into the camera for a few seconds. The request felt strange, but I was too tired to question it. I tapped allow, and the front-facing camera came alive. My own pale face staring back at me under dim light. A countdown ticked across the screen. 3, 2, 1. Thanks. Building your match profile. I picked an old picture for my profile, me at a friend's barbecue, laughing mid-conversation. No filters, no effort. I didn't even bother with a bio. Then the deck of faces appeared. One full screen at a time. Swipe left or right. The ritual was familiar, and I slipped into it automatically. A runner at the summit of a mountain. A girl with a cat that looked like it hated her. Someone in an empty parking garage holding an old film camera like it was a proof of personality. Swipe, swipe, swipe. No matches. I sighed and dropped the phone on my chest. When I picked it up again, the red notification dot waited. You have a match. I tapped it before my hesitation could catch up. Her name was Elise. She had one photo, just one, sitting by a window. Her head slightly turned as if someone had called her name. Soft daylight spilled across her hair and cheek, catching at the edges of her smile. It wasn't the exaggerated, perfect kind of picture I was used to seeing. Something about it looked natural. Before I could decide what to write, a message appeared.
Hey, you're up late.
I hesitated a second, then replied. Can't sleep. You?
Same. Figured I'd try this thing out. Guess it works.
The conversation didn't force itself. No awkward pauses, no obvious lines. We drifted through favorite songs, forgotten movies, strange childhood memories. She made it easy. Not because she was overly funny or clever, but because she didn't try so hard to be either. Somewhere around 2 a.m., she sent a short video. It was her tapping a rhythm on a wooden table, drumming out the beat of a song I'd mentioned offhand. The clip was 3 seconds long, but I watched it twice, then a third time, noticing small details. The chipped mug in the corner, the faint scratching sound between taps, the way the lighting made her hand look too smooth, almost blurred. At 3:04 a.m., she typed,
We should meet. Tomorrow?
I froze with my thumbs above the screen. Normally I'd dodge, make an excuse, invent plans. But for reasons I didn't understand yet, I didn't want to overthink this one. Sure. Where? She picked a small cafe downtown, said she'd bring me the best coffee I've ever had. Before I closed the app, a system message popped up. Reminder, keep Amoura installed to maintain your match. I laughed under my breath. Some retention gimmick. I hit got it, locked my phone, and tried to sleep with the faint warmth of something new blooming in my chest. The cafe was quiet the next day, the kind of place where the sound of someone stirring sugar carried across the room. I took a table near the window and kept checking my phone, even though I already texted that I was here. Elise walked in 5 minutes later. She was exactly like her photo, and yet, in person, there was something different. Not bad, not wrong, just noticeable. Her movements were careful, a little too smooth, like someone playing back a recording slowed down at half speed. When she smiled, it reached her lips perfectly, but seemed to hesitate before reaching her eyes.
Tea for me,
she said, setting down 2 cups.
but I ordered yours.
I picked it up, tasted it, and paused. It was my usual drink. I hadn't told her what to get. How'd you... She smiled softly.
Lucky guess.
The conversation started easy, the same way it had online. We swapped more stories, small and harmless, but every so often, Elise's focus would drift. Not to her phone, not to the room around us, but somewhere else entirely. Like her thoughts were running in a parallel track I wasn't on. At one point, she leaned forward, lowering her voice without explanation.
Don't worry,
She said.
I'd never leave you stranded.
It didn't seem to connect to anything we were talking about. It was just there, suspended between sentences, a promise I hadn't asked for. I smiled anyway, because that's what you do when someone gives you certainty you don't understand. It was a little warming, at least. My exes had cheated on me quite often, so hearing that I wouldn't be stranded like my last relationships made me feel a little warm inside. We didn't plan a second date before leaving, but the word hung between us unspoken. When she stood to leave, she touched my shoulder lightly and said,
Soon.
That night, lying in my bed, I thought about the smoothness of her movements, the precision in her choices, the way she looked at me like she already knew me. I picked up my phone twice, staring at her single photo on the app. The system pushed a new notification. Elise wants to call you tomorrow night. Confirm. I tapped accept before I thought about it. The screen glitched once, just a faint flicker, before settling back to normal. I told myself it was nothing, and maybe it was. For now. By 8, I'd cleaned my apartment out of habit, straightened pillows, wiped dust from the surfaces that I didn't need to wipe, made the bed, though I wasn't planning to sit on it. When the call finally came through, the phone vibrated hard in my palm, screen glowing with her name. I swiped to accept. The screen turned black, then filled with Elise's face. The background was plain, a pale wall and a single lamp throwing soft light. But she didn't say anything. She just sat there, perfectly still, looking into the camera. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. No response. I thought maybe the feed froze, but the faint noise of the mic, a low static hiss, told me the line was live. Her chest rose slowly. "Elise?" After a pause, she blinked. It should have helped, but the blink was strange. It was much too slow. "You're quiet," I said, trying to sound casual. Her lips parted slightly, but nothing came out. I waited, forcing myself not to hang up. And finally, she whispered, soft enough I almost didn't catch it.
"I like seeing you."
The way she said it made my stomach tighten. It wasn't flirtation. It sounded like observation, like she was taking inventory. I laughed weakly and rubbed the back of my neck. "I guess that's a good sign." She didn't react. The seconds stretched. I tried filling the silence, asked about her day, about the app, anything to make her respond. But each time, she either nodded or said something clipped, like she'd practiced a handful of neutral answers in advance. Then I noticed something I couldn't ignore. Her eyes weren't tracking naturally. They weren't following me on screen. They were locked just below the camera, holding steady, unblinking now, like she was staring through me. My throat went dry. "Elise, are you okay?" She smiled suddenly. Not big, not forced, just there, like someone had switched it on. The light behind her glared faintly, and for a second, the image distorted. Her skin smoothed unnaturally, like the edges blurred, as if the camera couldn't decide where she ended and where the wall began. I glanced down at my phone, debating whether to end the call. When I looked back up, her head had tilted slightly to one side, and she was still smiling.
"I'm here,"
she said softly. The words didn't match the expression. The static hiss in the background grew louder, pressing against the silence between us. I tried to laugh, but my voice came out thin. "Okay, good. Thought I lost you there." She finally blinked again, then leaned just slightly closer to the camera. Her face filled more of the frame, details sharpening. That's when I saw it. Her pupils were too wide, for the amount of light in the room, swallowing almost the entire color of her irises. "Elise?" I said carefully. "Maybe we should..." And then the screen glitched. For a fraction of a second, her face split, the frame tearing into two overlapping images that didn't quite align. And behind her, I swore I saw movement in the blurred background. A shadow, human-shaped, slipping across the wall. When the video corrected itself, the lamp was gone. "Elise?" I whispered, leaning forward without meaning to. "What's going on over there?" She didn't answer. She stared at me with that same wide gaze, then whispered almost playfully,
"Second date soon."
My thumb hovered the red button. That's when my phone buzzed. A text mid-call from her phone.
"On my way."
I froze. My heart hammered against my ribs as I lowered the phone, the video still streaming silently from her face. her face staring back at me. And then, from downstairs, something slammed against my front door. The first hit against the door rattled the frame. The dull, hollow thud that carried through the floorboards beneath me. I froze, phone still in hand, Elise's face frozen on screen, silent and unblinking. A second hit came, harder. The wood groaned like something heavy leaned its full weight against it. I ended the call, and the screen went black instantly, as if she'd never been there at all. I crept to the hallway, moving slow, breath shallow. The only sound was my pulse hammering against my ears. Another bang, louder this time. The picture frames against the wall trembled. "Elise?" I whispered without meaning to. Silence. I took one step toward the door, but the floor creaked beneath me, and from the other side of the wood came a faint whisper.
"I'm here."
Every muscle in my body seized. The front lock clicked softly, like someone trying it from the outside. My legs moved before my mind caught up. I ran, past the kitchen, down the short hallway, and pulled at the string dangling from the ceiling. The attic ladder unfolded with a drawn-out groan. I scrambled up the steps, pulling them closed behind me. The hatch slammed shut with a hollow thunk, sealing me into darkness. My chest heaved, lungs burning. For a moment, nothing. Then, I heard the slow creak of the floorboards beneath me. But they weren't from downstairs. They were in the attic. I turned my head toward the sound, squinting into the dark. The faint light from the hatch didn't reach the far corner, but something shifted there. I saw her face before I heard her move. Elise, crouched low, her head tilted slightly in the shadows. Her smile stretched faintly across her pale face. Elise reached for me, unfolding from the crawl into a slow, deliberate stand. We were eye level now, but she didn't speak. The silence between us was thick, oppressive, louder than any sound I'd ever heard. Her expression didn't shift, but her breathing, impossibly quiet until now, drew closer, warmer. "Elise," I managed, though it came out cracked and broken. She stepped forward, close enough that the swinging attic bulb caught her face fully. The perfection of it was unbearable. Skin smooth, symmetrical, wrong, uncanny, in the way that people describe, but it was unnatural, like something pretending and almost succeeding. Before I could react, her arms came up slowly and wrapped around me. At first, the embrace was soft, gentle, almost careful. For a fraction of a second, it felt human. Then she tightened her grip. The air fled my lungs in an instant, my ribs bending under a pressure that didn't make sense. I clawed at her hands, but her skin was unyielding, warm but unrelenting, like something forged to hold. My vision started tunneling, edges darkening, heart hammering unevenly in my chest. I tried to scream, but it came out broken, half a sound swallowed by her shoulder. Her lips brushed my ear, and she whispered with the soft certainty of someone fulfilling a promise.
"I told you I'd never leave you stranded."
The attic swam around me, the bulb's lights stretching into strange shapes, shadows twisting into long arms that reached across the beams. My legs weakened beneath me, and for one horrifying second, I thought I felt her heartbeat pressed against my chest. It was so slow, and it was so heavy. And then, there was nothing. When I woke up, the world was washed in white and antiseptic, beeping somewhere nearby, the mechanical rhythm, steady and slow. My ribs burned beneath tight bandages, every breath stabbed like broken glass. I turned my head and spotted my phone resting on the table. The screen was awake. The Amoura app had opened itself. Across the top, one word: unmatched. I blinked, staring at it through a haze, when I felt something tugged beneath my arm. A small folded piece of paper. I pulled it free with trembling fingers, unfolding it carefully. Neat handwriting.
Told you I'd never leave you stranded.
The monitor picked up speed, beeping faster with every uneven breath. Then muffled through the hospital walls came the faintest buzz. 3 short vibrations. My phone was in my hand, and all I could do was swipe.